a little bit of practice with this writing algorithm and interfacing with AI and getting your algorithm to work. So just pause this and try it yourself and then see how you go along the way. Suppose you're writing an algorithm for adding two fractions. Not sure why that is capitalized there. We don't need to. But you're trying to think of all the steps you need to sort of explain to someone how to add two simple fractions, and then we're going to turn that into code and try to get it to run on Python. So this is a student attempt at this. See how you like it. Again, pause, look at the screen, make corrections, see how you would do it if you were given this as a test or assessment question. Okay, you're back. Well, I'm looking at this and I read it. It says, given two fractions, simplify each one by canceling in the numerator and denominator. So I think understand what this student is saying, but that's not specific enough. I could cancel a 10 in one and a 3 in another. I need to be a little bit more careful about how I word that. So think through how you could explain doing that. You really need to say something like cancel common factors in the numerator and denominator, or factor into prime factors and cancel equal factors, or something along those lines to be clear what you're doing. And then you're supposed to display each step, so that seems relatively clear. 2, using the two reduced fractions, multiply each fraction by the denominator of the other fraction. Well, if you know how to add fractions, you do need a common denominator, so you often can use that trick of multiplying the denominator of the opposite fraction by the fraction you're trying to get into a common denominator, but you need to do it to both the top and the bottom. So this multiply each fraction by the denominator is not really very clear. You should demonstrate with a particular example how to do it wrong as like a counter example. So I'm not able to write very easily when I'm screen sharing like this. Sorry about that, but you should, if you're doing this on a test or a quiz, write down an actual answer, write down a question, and then show how following the steps, it's not quite clear that it's done right. Just like the dad in the video about putting the wrong end of the knife into the peanut butter, right? You need to be told really clearly how to do it. So something like, using the two reduced fractions, multiply the numerator and denominator by the denominator of the other fraction. That's pretty clear. And then do that to both fractions. So add them. Well, what does that mean? Do you add the denominators? Do you add the numerators? Do you add both? You definitely need to be really clear. Something about once you've found the common denominator, write a single fraction with that common denominator and then add the two numerators that result from step 2. Okay? And then step 4, reduce the new fraction. Well, what if it's something like 10 over 30 or something like that, and you then make it 5 over 15 by cutting the top and bottom in half? You still got more you can do. So just reducing it once isn't enough. You need to say something about reducing it completely and display the fraction. So there's more that can be done. Try your hand at it. I'm going to just jump to a little simple solution here. This is the improved version that we came up with. So you can read that. I won't pause and reread it, but it reflects the recommendations that I just gave you. All right. So once you write your algorithm, you then want to be able to take and put it into ChatGPT and actually convert it into Python code. So you just scan this, scan it, and then copy it. And if you go to ChatGPT, you'll see that I did that. I have got a fraction finding chat here. It says, please write the following algorithm as Python code. And then it just says algorithm for adding two fractions, displaying each step. So there it is. Those are the steps. Here is the Python code that I was given. When I ran it, it didn't ask me for numbers to represent the fraction. It just did it, and it chose as its example these numbers down here. So I had clearly not thought through my instructions to the computer about inputting and outputting. So I said then very simply, please modify the code to allow me to input the two fractions in the form of a over b and c over d, and then display each step of the algorithm, display the final answer as a fraction. So then it modified the code, and then I copied that code, and I then pasted it into our online Python editor. And you can see here that when I ran it, I input the fractions 15 over 20 and 2 over 12, and it displayed the steps in simplified form. It displayed them again with the common denominator, and then it displayed the reduced fraction and my final answer. So it seemed to work. If I had gotten some red dialogue down here, some feedback that something was wrong, I would then simply go back to ChatGPT and say, this is what happened, how can I fix this, and try to get it debugged. I hope that's helpful. Good luck, everybody.